If you're watching this right now, it's because you were meant to. This is no accident. Something deep within you, something far greater than chance, has brought you here. You've been guided to this message at the perfect time because you're standing at a pivotal moment in your life. You're in between phases. Neville Goddard teaches that nothing in life happens randomly. Every event, every encounter, every moment is part of a larger unfolding, a reflection of your state of consciousness. And this moment, right now, is no different. You've been drawn here because you're on the verge of transformation. The question is, will you embrace it? Most people experience the in-between phases of life with resistance. They feel stuck, uncertain, or even frustrated, believing that nothing is happening. But Neville revealed a profound truth. These moments of stillness are not empty. They are the creative womb of manifestation. Neville said, "Man moves in a world that is nothing more or less than his consciousness objectified." In other words, your outer world is a mirror of your inner state. If you feel stuck, it's not because life is against you. It's because your consciousness is still holding on to the past. But the moment you shift your inner state, the outer world must follow. This is the secret most people don't realize. The in-between phase is not a punishment. It's an opportunity. It's the space where you plant the seeds of your future. The question is, what will you plant? By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to navigate this in-between phase, how to let go of the old self, and how to step into the reality you desire. If you've been waiting for a sign, this is it. This is your moment to awaken to your power, to stop reacting to life and start creating it. Neville taught that manifestation doesn't happen in the future. It happens now. Every thought you think, every feeling you dwell in, is shaping what comes next. Think about it. Have you ever experienced a moment where everything suddenly shifted? A breakthrough, an unexpected opportunity, or a sudden realization? What if those moments weren't luck or coincidence? What if they were the result of an inner shift? One that you may not have even realized was happening. What if this is one of those moments? The in-between phase is where transformation begins. It's where you decide to let go of the old self and step into the new. It's where you align your consciousness with the reality you desire, even before it appears. In this video, we'll explore the exact steps to navigate this phase, reprogram your subconscious mind, and manifest the life you've been dreaming of. You'll learn why the in-between phase is the most powerful part of the manifestation process, how to use your imagination to create new realities, and why surrender is the key to stepping into your future self. This is your moment to take control of your destiny. But before we begin, take a deep breath. Let go of distractions. Be fully present, because what you're about to learn has the power to change everything. Welcome to Neville Goddard Files. If you're ready to transform your life, hit the like button, subscribe, and step into your new reality. Now, let's begin. There exists a sacred space in the journey of life, a space neither here nor there, neither past nor future. It is the imaginal realm of in-between phases, a state of consciousness where the old self dissolves and the new self has yet to emerge. To the untrained mind, this space may feel like a void, a punishment, or even a cruel trick of fate. But to those who understand the deeper workings of consciousness, this is the creative womb of manifestation, the divine pause where the unseen forces of life are at work. Neville Goddard often spoke of this state as the bridge of incidents, a necessary passage between the conception of a desire and its fulfillment. It is here, in this liminal space, that the soul is tested, not by external forces, but by its own capacity to trust in the unseen. The waiting room of life is not a place of stagnation. It is a place of preparation. It is where the seeds of your future self are planted, nurtured, and brought to life. When you find yourself in this in-between phase, it is because the self-concept you once held, the identity you wore so comfortably, has outlived its purpose. The routines, beliefs, and emotions that once defined you no longer align with the vision of who you are becoming. Yet, the new self, the one you are stepping into, remains just out of reach. This is the paradox of transformation. You are no longer who you were, but not yet who you will be. In this state, the mind often rebels. It craves certainty, clinging to the familiar even when it no longer serves you. It seeks safety in the past, in the known, in the tangible. But the imaginal realm does not operate by the rules of the physical world. It is governed by faith, imagination, and the silent knowing that what you desire already exists in the unseen. Goddard taught that consciousness is the only reality. What you hold in your imagination, you hold in your life. The in-between phase, then, is not a void, but a canvas. It is the space where you paint the picture of your future self, not with brushes and colors, but with thoughts, feelings, and inner conviction. The question is not whether the new self will emerge, but whether you will allow yourself to become it. Periods of stillness are not periods of inactivity. They are periods of gestation. Just as a seed must rest in the darkness of the soil before it breaks through the surface, so too must your desires rest in the silence of the imaginal realm before they manifest in the physical world. The standstill is not a punishment. It is a divine pause, a moment of alignment where the inner and outer worlds are brought into harmony. Goddard often used the metaphor of the chrysalis to describe this process. When a caterpillar enters the chrysalis, it does not simply grow wings and emerge as a butterfly. It dissolves completely, breaking down into a formless state, before it is reassembled into something new. This is the divine purpose of the in-between phase, to dissolve the old self so completely that there is no trace of it left, making way for the new self to take shape. But this process requires surrender. It requires faith. Most people resist the stillness, mistaking it for failure or stagnation. They try to force outcomes, to rush the process, or to retreat back to the safety of the known. Yet, as Goddard taught, you cannot serve two masters. You cannot cling to the old self while reaching for the new. The standstill is an invitation to let go, to trust in the unseen, and to allow the divine purpose of this phase to unfold. The waiting space is not empty. It is full of potential. It is the imaginal womb where your future self is conceived and nurtured. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, every belief you hold is a seed planted in this fertile ground. The question is not whether the seeds will grow, but what kind of seeds you are planting. Goddard emphasized the importance of living in the end. To dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled is to align your consciousness with the reality you desire. In the waiting space, this practice becomes essential. It is not a time to look for evidence in the external world, but to create evidence in the internal world. It is a time to feel with every fiber of your being that you are already the person you wish to become. This is not a passive process. It is an active choice to trust in the unseen, to believe in the power of your imagination, and to align your inner world with the reality you are creating. The waiting space is not a test of patience, it is a test of faith. It is where you decide whether you will be ruled by fear or by vision, by doubt or by conviction. In the imaginal realm, silence is not the absence of speech. It is the presence of stillness. It is the space where the noise of the external world fades away, allowing the voice of the inner self to be heard. This silence is not empty. It is alive with possibility. It is the gateway to transformation, the place where the old self dissolves and the new self is born. Goddard taught that the external world is nothing more than a reflection of the internal state. To change your outer reality, you must first change your inner reality. The silence of the waiting space is where this change begins. It is where you confront your fears, release your doubts, and align your consciousness with the vision of your future self. In this silence, you are not alone. The unseen forces of life are at work, guiding you, supporting you, and preparing the way for your desires to manifest. But these forces can only work in your favor if you allow them to. To resist the silence is to resist the transformation. To embrace the silence is to embrace the divine purpose of the in-between phase. In the journey of transformation, there is no greater ability than the law of assumption. It is the key that unlocks the door to your new self, the bridge that carries you from the old state of being to the new. Yet, it is also the most misunderstood and resisted principle, for it requires a radical shift in how you perceive yourself and the world. To assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled is to live as though your desire is already a reality, even when every outer circumstance seems to contradict it. This is the essence of faith, and it is in the moments of transition, when the old self is dying and the new self has yet to fully emerge, that this faith is most profoundly tested. The human imagination is the creative power of the universe, the divine faculty through which all things are made. Yet for most, it is also the greatest source of resistance. Why? Because the imagination, when left untrained, clings to the familiar. It resists surrendering old states of consciousness, even when those states no longer serve you. This resistance is not a flaw. It is a function of the mind's desire for safety and certainty. The old self, with all its patterns, habits, and beliefs, feels like home, even when it has become a prison. Neville Goddard taught that the outer world is nothing more than a reflection of the inner state. To change your life, you must first change your self-concept. But the mind, conditioned by years of repetition, will fight to maintain the status quo. It will whisper doubts, replay past failures, and conjure fears of the unknown. It will tell you that who you have been is who you must continue to be. This is the great battle of transformation, not a battle against external forces, but a battle within your own consciousness. The imagination resists because it has been trained to look outward for evidence. It seeks proof in the physical world before it dares to believe in the unseen. But the law of assumption demands the opposite. It asks you to believe first, to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, and to persist in that assumption, even when the outer world shows no sign of change. This is the work of the imagination, to create a new reality within, knowing that the outer world will eventually conform. Transformation is not a process of addition, it is a process of subtraction. To become the new self, the old self must die. This is not a physical death, but a spiritual one, a letting go of the thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that have defined you up until now. It is a shedding of the old identity, a release of the familiar patterns that have kept you bound to the past. Goddard often spoke of this death as a necessary step in the creative process. Just as a seed must fall into the ground and die before it can grow into a tree, so too must the old self dissolve before the new self can emerge. This death is not easy. It is uncomfortable, even painful, because it requires you to confront the parts of yourself that you have outgrown. It asks you to let go of the known and step into the unknown, to release the safety of the past and embrace the uncertainty of the future. But this death is also a liberation. It is the breaking of the chains that have held you back, the clearing of the space where the new self can take root. It is a spiritual necessity, a rite of passage that every soul must undergo on the path to fulfillment. The old self does not die easily. It clings, it resists, it fights to survive. But the moment you stop identifying with it, the moment you choose to assume the feeling of the new self, the old self begins to fade away. The greatest challenge of the law of assumption is persistence. It is easy to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled when the outer world aligns with your desire. But what happens when the world shows you the opposite? What happens when the evidence of your senses contradicts the reality you are creating within? This is where most people falter. They abandon their vision, retreat into doubt, and return to the old self. But this is also where the true power of the law of assumption is revealed. Goddard taught that persistence is the key to manifestation. To persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled is to hold steadfast to your vision, no matter what the outer world shows you. It is to trust in the unseen, to believe in the reality of your imagination, and to know that the outer world is merely a reflection of your inner state. The outer world may take time to catch up, but it must conform to the reality you hold within. This persistence is not passive. It is an active choice. It is the decision to dwell in the feeling of your desire fulfilled, to think from the end rather than of the end. It is the willingness to ignore the evidence of the senses and to trust in the power of your imagination. This is not a denial of reality. It is a recognition that reality is created from within. The absence of outer confirmation is not a sign of failure. It is a test of faith. It is an opportunity to strengthen your vision, to deepen your belief, and to align more fully with the reality you are creating. In the moments of transition, when the old self is dying and the new self has yet to emerge, there is often a profound silence. This silence is not an absence of sound. It is an absence of certainty. It is the space where the noise of the outer world fades away, leaving only the still small voice within. This silence can be unsettling, even frightening, because it forces you to confront yourself. But it is also the space where transformation occurs. Goddard described this silence as the creative void, the place where the old self dissolves and the new self is born. It is in this silence that you must persist in your vision, holding steadfast to the assumption of your desire fulfilled. It is in this silence that you must confront your fears, release your doubts, and trust in the unseen forces at work. The silence is not empty. It is full of possibility. It is the womb of creation, the space where the new self is formed. In the journey of transformation, there is one principle that stands above all others. Feeling is the secret. It is the bridge between the world you know and the world you desire, the invisible thread that connects the seen and the unseen. Neville Goddard taught that the key to manifesting any desire lies not in effort, struggle, or external action, but in the ability to feel as though your wish is already fulfilled. To inhabit the emotional state of your desired reality is to call it into being, for the world outside is nothing more than a reflection of the world within. Yet, this is where most falter. The mind, conditioned by years of sensory dependence, demands proof before belief. It looks to the outer world for confirmation, refusing to feel the joy of fulfillment until the evidence appears. But the law of consciousness does not work this way. The outer world is not the cause. It is the effect. To change your reality, you must first change your inner state. And to change your inner state, you must master the art of feeling. The greatest secret of creation is this: you must feel the reality of your desire before it becomes visible. This is not a matter of pretending or wishing. It is a matter of inhabiting the emotional state of your fulfilled desire so completely that it becomes your dwelling place. To feel as though your wish is already fulfilled is to align your consciousness with the reality you seek. It is to live from the end, to think, act, and feel as though you are already the person you wish to become. But this is not an easy task. The mind, tethered to the evidence of the senses, resists this shift. It reminds you of what is, of the facts, of the circumstances that seem to contradict your desire. It tells you that feeling the joy of fulfillment is foolish, that it is dangerous to believe in something you cannot see. Yet, this is the very essence of faith. To feel the reality of your desire before it appears is to trust in the unseen, to know that the outer world will conform to the inner state. Goddard often used the analogy of a mirror to explain this principle. The outer world, like a mirror, reflects your inner state. If you wish to see a different reflection, you must first change the image you hold within. To wait for the mirror to change before you change your inner state is to misunderstand the nature of reality. The feeling is the cause. The reflection is the effect. To inhabit the emotional state of your desired reality is to set the mirror of life into motion, drawing to you the people, circumstances, and events that align with your inner world. Faith is not a passive belief. It is an active discipline. It is the ability to hold steadfast to the feeling of your desire fulfilled, even when the outer world shows no sign of change. This is the true test of transformation. Can you persist in your vision when the evidence of your senses contradicts it? Can you maintain the feeling tone of completion when the world around you seems to deny it? Most people retreat at this point. They interpret the absence of outer confirmation as a sign that their desire is not meant to be. They allow doubt, fear, and frustration to pull them back into the old state of consciousness, reinforcing the very reality they wish to escape. But this is where the spiritual discipline of faith becomes essential. To persist in the feeling of your desire fulfilled is to trust in the unseen, to know that the outer world is merely a delayed reflection of the inner state. Goddard taught that the delay between the assumption of a desire and its manifestation is not a sign of failure. It is a natural part of the creative process. Just as a seed must rest in the soil before it sprouts, so too must your desire rest in the silence of the imaginal realm before it appears in the physical world. The question is not whether your desire will manifest, but whether you will persist in the feeling of its fulfillment long enough for it to do so. This persistence is not a matter of willpower. It is a matter of alignment. It is the ability to return again and again to the feeling of your desire fulfilled, no matter what the outer world shows you. It is the willingness to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, to make it your home, your dwelling place, your reality. This is the spiritual discipline of faith, to feel the reality of your desire so deeply that it becomes more real to you than the evidence of your senses. The feeling tone of completion is the secret to bridging worlds. It is the emotional signature of your desired reality, the vibration that aligns you with the life you wish to create. To create this feeling tone is to step into the reality of your desire, to live as though it is already true. But how do you create this feeling tone when the outer world seems to deny it? How do you feel the joy of fulfillment when the evidence of your senses tells you otherwise? The answer lies in imagination. Imagination is the creative power of the universe, the faculty through which all things are made. To imagine your desire fulfilled is to create the feeling tone of completion, to step into the reality of your wish and make it real within. This is not a matter of daydreaming or fantasizing. It is a matter of inhabiting the state of your desire so completely that it becomes your reality. Goddard often spoke of the importance of living in the end. To live in the end is to assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, to think, act, and feel as though it is already true. This is not a matter of pretending or forcing. It is a matter of aligning your inner state with the reality you wish to create. The feeling tone of completion is not something you create through effort. It is something you allow through surrender. It is the natural result of dwelling in the state of the wish fulfilled, of living from the end rather than toward it. In the process of creating the feeling tone of completion, silence becomes your greatest ally. It is the stillness of the mind, the quieting of the inner chatter that seeks to pull you back into the old state of consciousness. In this silence, you find the space to feel, to imagine, to inhabit the reality of your desire. The silence of feeling is not empty. It is full of possibility. It is the space where the old self dissolves and the new self is born. It is the womb of creation, the place where the feeling tone of completion takes root and begins to grow. In this silence, you are not alone. The unseen forces of life are at work, aligning the outer world with the inner state. Your only task is to persist in the feeling, to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, and to trust in the process. Transformation is not a process of addition, but of subtraction. It is not about becoming someone new, but about shedding the layers of who you are not. Neville Goddard often described this as the pruning of the self, a deliberate and necessary process of cutting away the old, outdated concepts of who you believe yourself to be. This pruning is not merely a psychological adjustment. It is a spiritual death, a letting go of the conditioned mind's grip on the past so that the true self may emerge. The journey of transformation requires this pruning, for the old self cannot coexist with the new. The thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that once defined you must be released, not because they were wrong, but because they no longer serve the life you are stepping into. Yet, this process is rarely comfortable. The conditioned mind resists change, clinging to the familiar even when it has become a source of limitation. To let go of the old self is to confront the illusion of loss, to face the fear of stepping into the unknown, and to trust that what lies ahead is far greater than what you leave behind. Every transformation begins with a death. This is not a physical death, but a psychological one, a death of the self-concept that has defined you up until now. The thoughts you have repeatedly entertained, the emotions you have habitually felt, and the roles you have played in the world have created a blueprint for who you believe yourself to be. This blueprint feels solid, real, and unchangeable, but it is not. It is simply the result of repetition, a pattern of consciousness that has been reinforced over time. To step into a new reality, this old blueprint must be dismantled. This is the psychological death that Goddard spoke of, the letting go of the old self so completely that it no longer holds any power over you. This death is not an act of destruction, but of liberation. It is the clearing away of the false so that the true may emerge. Yet, to the conditioned mind, this process feels like loss. It feels as though a part of you is being taken away, as though you are losing something essential. But this is an illusion. What you are losing is not who you are, but who you have been pretending to be. Goddard often used the metaphor of a seed to illustrate this process. Just as a seed must fall into the ground and die before it can grow into a tree, so too must the old self dissolve before the new self can emerge. The seed does not mourn its death, for it knows that it is not truly dying. It is transforming. In the same way, the death of the old self is not an end, but a beginning. It is the necessary prelude to rebirth, the clearing of the ground for the new self to take root. The mind is designed to seek safety in the familiar. It clings to what it knows, even when what it knows is no longer serving you. This is why resistance is a natural response to transformation. The moment you begin to shift your thoughts, feelings, and behaviors, the mind perceives it as a threat. It triggers doubt, fear, and discomfort, urging you to return to the predictable patterns of the past. This resistance is not a sign that you are incapable of change. It is a sign that you are disrupting deeply ingrained neurological and emotional patterns. The old self, like a well-worn path in the forest, has been reinforced through years of repetition. To create a new path requires effort, persistence, and faith. The mind will resist, not because it wishes to harm you, but because it believes it is protecting you. It does not understand that the familiar is no longer safe, that the comfort of the old self has become a cage. Goddard taught that this resistance is part of the process. It is the mind's way of testing your commitment to the new self. Will you retreat into the past, or will you persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled? The discomfort you feel is not a sign to turn back. It is evidence that transformation is happening. The old self is fighting to survive, but with each choice to align with the new self, its grip weakens. The neural pathways that once dictated your thoughts and behaviors begin to fade, and the emotional attachment to outdated patterns begins to dissolve. One of the greatest challenges of transformation is the illusion of loss. To release the old self feels at first like losing a part of yourself. The roles you have played, the beliefs you have held, and the emotions you have carried have become so intertwined with your identity that letting them go feels like erasing who you are. But this is not the truth. You are not losing yourself. You are shedding the layers of conditioning that have obscured your true nature. The old self will tempt you with nostalgia, whispering memories of the past and convincing you that you need it. It will remind you of the comfort of familiarity, the safety of routine, and the certainty of what once was. But these are illusions. The comfort of the old self is the comfort of limitation. The safety it offers is the safety of stagnation. The certainty it provides is the certainty of remaining the same. To release identification with the past is not to lose yourself, but to find yourself. It is to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Beneath the layers of fear, doubt, and programmed beliefs lies the truth of who you are, a being of infinite potential, capable of creating any reality you desire. The pruning of the old self is not an act of destruction, but of revelation. It is the uncovering of the true self, the self that has always been there, waiting to emerge. In the process of pruning the old self, silence becomes your ally. This silence is not an absence of sound, but an absence of identification with the noise of the mind. It is the stillness where the old self begins to dissolve and the new self begins to take shape. In this silence, you are not fighting the old self. You are simply allowing it to fall away. You are not forcing the new self to emerge. You are simply creating the space for it to grow. Goddard described this silence as the space of transformation, the void where the old and the new meet. It is in this silence that you confront the resistance of the mind, the illusion of loss, and the discomfort of change. But it is also in this silence that you find the truth of who you are. The pruning of the old self is not a battle. It is a surrender. It is the willingness to let go of what no longer serves you and to trust in the process of becoming. At the heart of Neville Goddard's teachings lies a profound truth. Consciousness is the only reality. The world you see, touch, and experience is not fixed, nor is it something happening to you. It is a reflection of your inner state, a mirror of the beliefs and assumptions you hold within. To change your life, you must first change your consciousness. This is the quantum leap of transformation, not a gradual shift, but an instantaneous reorientation of your inner world that brings about material change. It is the imaginal act, the deliberate use of your imagination, that serves as the causal force behind this leap. The quantum leap of consciousness is not bound by time or circumstance. It does not require effort in the external world, nor does it depend on the approval of others. It is a shift in awareness, a decision to live from the end result of your desire, even while the outer world remains unchanged. This is the secret of creation. To impress your consciousness with the feeling of the wish fulfilled, knowing that the outer world must conform to the inner state. The leap is not a matter of distance, but of alignment. It is the recognition that the reality you seek already exists within you, waiting to be claimed. The imaginal act is the seed of creation. It is the moment when you consciously assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, impressing this state upon your subconscious mind. Goddard taught that imagination is the creative power of the universe, the faculty through which all things are made. To imagine a reality is to create it, for the subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It accepts as true whatever you impress upon it, and it brings this truth into form through the circumstances of your life. Most people move through life unaware of this power. They believe that reality is something fixed, something outside of their control. They focus on what they can see, touch, and measure, never realizing that the visible world is only a fraction of what is shaping their lives. The truth is that the external world is a mirror of internal energy. It is not the circumstances themselves that dictate the quality of life, but the consciousness behind those circumstances. Science, too, points to this truth. At the most fundamental level, matter is not as solid as it seems. When broken down to its smallest components, we find subatomic particles that exist not as fixed objects, but as waves of potential. These particles remain in a state of pure possibility until they are observed, at which point they collapse into form. This is the foundation of quantum physics, the idea that consciousness itself influences matter. If observation alone has the power to shape reality, then the way you direct your attention, the way you focus your mind, and the way you feel on a daily basis all play a role in shaping the world around you. The imaginal act is the deliberate use of this power. It is the conscious observation of a desired reality, the act of impressing this reality upon your subconscious mind through feeling. To imagine is not to daydream or fantasize. It is to create. It is to see with the inner eye, to feel with the inner heart, and to know with the inner mind that your desire is already fulfilled. This is the causal force behind material change, the quantum leap that brings the unseen into the seen. The greatest challenge of the quantum leap is to live from the end result of your desire, while the outer world remains unchanged. This requires a radical shift in perspective, a willingness to trust in the unseen and to act as though your desire is already a reality. To live from the end is to think, feel, and act as the person you wish to become, even when the evidence of your senses tells you otherwise. It is to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, to make this state your home, your dwelling place, your reality. This is not a matter of pretending or forcing. It is a matter of alignment. To live from the end is to align your inner state with the reality you wish to create, knowing that the outer world will eventually conform. The transition may feel uncertain, even uncomfortable, for the old self will resist this shift. It will remind you of the past, of the circumstances that seem to contradict your desire. But this resistance is not a sign of failure. It is a sign of growth. The discomfort you feel is evidence that transformation is happening, that the old self is dissolving and the new self is emerging. Goddard often emphasized the importance of persistence in this process. To persist in the assumption of your desire fulfilled is to hold steadfast to your vision, no matter what the outer world shows you. It is to trust that the imaginal act has set the wheels of creation into motion, even when there is no visible proof. The outer world is not the cause. It is the effect. To wait for the world to change before you change your inner state is to misunderstand the nature of reality. The change must begin within, and the outer world will follow. Consciousness is the only reality. This is the foundation of Goddard's teachings, the truth that underlies all creation. The world you experience is not separate from you. It is a reflection of your inner state. Every thought you think, every emotion you feel, and every belief you hold carries a specific vibrational frequency. This frequency is broadcast into the quantum field, the vast intelligent energy that surrounds and permeates all things. The field responds to this frequency, bringing into form the circumstances, people, and events that match your inner state. To change your reality, you must change the beliefs you hold within. These beliefs are not abstract concepts. They are deeply ingrained patterns of thought and feeling that shape your perception of the world. They are the lens through which you view reality, the filter that determines what you attract and what you repel. To impress a new belief upon your subconscious mind is to change the lens, to shift the filter, and to create a new reality. This process begins with the imaginal act. To imagine your desire fulfilled is to impress this state upon your subconscious mind, planting the seed of a new belief. But the seed must be nurtured. It must be watered with faith, persistence, and the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The subconscious mind does not respond to words or logic. It responds to feeling. To feel as though your desire is already fulfilled is to impress this belief upon your subconscious mind, setting the wheels of creation into motion. In the quantum leap of consciousness, silence becomes your sanctuary. This silence is not an absence of sound, but an absence of doubt. It is the stillness where the old self dissolves and the new self takes root. In this silence, you are not waiting for the world to change. You are creating the change from within. You are not seeking proof. You are becoming the proof. The leap is not a matter of distance, but of alignment. It is the recognition that the reality you seek already exists within you, waiting to be claimed. The mind is the architect of reality, and imagination is its most powerful ability. Neville Goddard taught that the world you experience is not shaped by external forces, but by the mental patterns you hold within. These patterns, formed by repeated thoughts, emotions, and beliefs, become the blueprint for your life. To change your reality, you must first revise these patterns, and the key to this revision lies in the deliberate use of imagination. Through controlled attention, persistent imaginal acts, and a disciplined mental diet, you can rewire your mind, align with your desired reality, and transform your life. This process is not merely psychological, it is spiritual. It is the practice of consciously directing your inner world, even in the face of uncertainty, to create a new state of being. The mind, like a garden, will grow whatever is planted in it. If left unattended, it will produce weeds, patterns of fear, doubt, and limitation. But with care and intention, it can be cultivated to produce the fruits of joy, abundance, and fulfillment. The act of revision is the act of tending to this garden, of uprooting the old and planting the new. Attention is the currency of creation. Whatever you focus on, you give life to. The mind, like a lens, magnifies whatever it is directed toward, and this focus shapes the neural pathways of the brain. Every thought you think strengthens a neural circuit, and every emotion you feel reinforces a chemical response in the body. Over time, these repeated patterns become ingrained, forming the mental and emotional states that define your reality. Most people allow their attention to wander aimlessly, reacting to the circumstances of life rather than consciously directing their focus. They dwell on problems, replay past failures, and imagine worst-case scenarios, not realizing that this attention is creating the very reality they wish to escape. But the same power that creates limitation can also create liberation. By deliberately directing your attention toward your desired reality, you can begin to rewire your brain and align with a new state of being. Goddard emphasized the importance of controlled attention in this process. To revise mental patterns, you must become the master of your focus. This means turning away from the evidence of the senses and directing your attention inward toward the reality you wish to create. It means imagining the end result of your desire with such clarity and conviction that it becomes more real to you than the world outside. This is not a passive act. It is an active discipline, a spiritual practice that requires persistence and faith. The brain, like a muscle, can be trained. Just as it has learned to wire itself into patterns of stress, doubt, and limitation, it can also learn to wire itself into patterns of joy, clarity, and empowerment. Every time you imagine your desire fulfilled, you are strengthening the neural pathways that align with this reality. Every time you dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you are conditioning your body to embody this state. Over time, these new patterns become your default state of being, and the outer world begins to reflect the change. The imaginal act is the seed of transformation, but like any seed, it requires care and persistence to grow. In the face of uncertainty, when the outer world shows no sign of change, it is easy to abandon the vision and return to old patterns. But this is the moment when persistence becomes essential. To persist in the imaginal act is to trust in the unseen, to know that the reality you are creating within will eventually manifest without. Goddard often spoke of the imaginal act as a spiritual practice, a daily discipline of aligning with your desired reality. This practice is not about forcing change in the outer world. It is about cultivating change within. It is about returning again and again to the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when doubt and fear arise. It is about holding steadfast to your vision, knowing that the outer world is a delayed reflection of the inner state. Uncertainty is not a sign of failure. It is a natural part of the process. The old self will resist the change, clinging to familiar patterns and seeking evidence in the external world. But the imaginal act is not dependent on external validation. It is an act of faith, a declaration that the reality you seek already exists within you. To persist in this act is to water the seed of your desire, to nurture it with attention and belief until it takes root and grows. This persistence is not a matter of effort, but of alignment. It is the willingness to dwell in the state of the wish fulfilled, to make this state your home, your dwelling place, your reality. It is the recognition that the outer world is not the cause, but the effect, and that the true work of transformation happens within. Just as the body is nourished by the food it consumes, the mind is nourished by the thoughts and images it entertains. A mental diet is the practice of feeding the mind with images of the wish fulfilled, of deliberately choosing thoughts and feelings that align with your desired reality. This is not a one-time act, but a continuous process, a daily discipline of aligning your inner world with the reality you wish to create. Most people are unaware of the thoughts they entertain. They allow their minds to dwell on fear, doubt, and limitation, not realizing that these thoughts are shaping their reality. But just as you would not feed your body with harmful substances, you must not feed your mind with harmful thoughts. To revise mental patterns, you must become vigilant about the content of your inner world. You must choose thoughts that uplift, images that inspire, and feelings that align with your desire. Goddard taught that the key to a successful mental diet is consistency. It is not enough to imagine your desire fulfilled once and then return to old patterns of thought. You must persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, feeding your mind with this state until it becomes your natural way of being. This does not mean suppressing negative thoughts or emotions. It means redirecting your focus toward the reality you wish to create. It means choosing, moment by moment, to dwell in the state of your desire, knowing that this state is the cause of your reality. The mental diet is not a restriction. It is a liberation. It is the practice of freeing your mind from the patterns of the past and aligning with the possibilities of the future. It is the recognition that you are the creator of your reality and that the thoughts you entertain today are shaping the experiences you will encounter tomorrow. The silence of revision is the space where transformation happens. It is the moment when you turn inward, away from the noise of the outer world, and align with the reality you wish to create. In this silence, you are not waiting for change. You are becoming the change. You are not seeking proof. You are creating proof. The silence is not empty. It is full of possibility. It is the womb of creation, the space where the imaginal act takes form. In the art of conscious creation, there exists a paradox that many struggle to reconcile: the balance between effort and allowing. Neville Goddard taught that manifestation is not a process of force, but of alignment. It is not about striving to make something happen, but about surrendering to the truth that it already is. This is the essence of divine surrender, the recognition that creation is complete the moment you impress your desire upon consciousness. The work is not in forcing the outer world to conform, but in allowing the inner world to remain steadfast in its assumption. Divine surrender is not passivity. It is the highest form of trust. It is the willingness to let go of control, to release the need for evidence, and to rest in the knowing that the seed you have planted will grow. This is the Sabbath rest, the sacred state of stillness that follows the act of creation. It is the moment when you cease all mental striving and allow the unseen forces of life to bring your desire into form. To surrender is not to give up. It is to give over, to hand your desire to the infinite intelligence within you, trusting that it knows the perfect way to bring it to fruition. The human mind is conditioned to equate effort with results. From an early age, we are taught that success comes through hard work, struggle, and persistence, but the laws of consciousness operate on a different principle. The quantum field, as Goddard explained, does not respond to effort. It responds to alignment. It is not the amount of effort you exert, but the state of being you embody that determines the outcome. When you try to force change in the outer world while internally dwelling in doubt, frustration, or unworthiness, you are still broadcasting the frequency of the old reality. The harder you push, the more you reinforce the belief that your desire is separate from you. This is the paradox of effort. The more you strive, the more you affirm the absence of what you seek. True creation does not come from effort. It comes from allowing. It comes from aligning your thoughts, emotions, and actions with the reality you wish to experience, and then trusting that the outer world will reflect this alignment. To allow is not to do nothing. It is to do the inner work of becoming. It is to embody the state of your desire fulfilled, to live from the end, and to trust that the outer world will rearrange itself to match your inner state. This is not a passive process. It requires discipline, focus, and faith, but it is a process of ease, not struggle. The moment you stop trying to make things happen and instead allow them to happen, you step into the flow of creation. You move from effort to alignment, from striving to being. Letting go is one of the most misunderstood aspects of manifestation. Many interpret it as giving up on their desire, as releasing their vision and resigning themselves to whatever happens. But true letting go is not about abandoning your desire. It is about releasing your attachment to how and when it will manifest. It is about trusting the process, knowing that the seed you have planted will grow in its own time and in its own way. Goddard often compared the act of creation to planting a seed in the ground. Once the seed is planted, you do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. You trust that the soil, the sun, and the rain will do their work. You water the seed, you nurture it, but you do not force it to grow. In the same way, once you have impressed your desire upon consciousness, your work is done. The seed has been planted. Your only task is to remain faithful to the vision, to persist in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, and to trust that the unseen forces of life are bringing it into form. Letting go is not a lack of action. It is a lack of resistance. It is the willingness to release doubt, fear, and the need for control. It is the recognition that the how and the when are not your concern. Your concern is the what, the vision you hold within. To let go is to rest in the knowing that creation is complete, that the seed you have planted is already growing, even if you cannot yet see it. The Sabbath rest is the sacred pause that follows the act of creation. It is the state of stillness, trust, and surrender that allows the seed of your desire to grow. In the Bible, the Sabbath is described as the seventh day, the day when God rested after completing the work of creation. But this rest is not idleness. It is a state of fulfillment. It is the recognition that the work is done, that nothing more is required. Goddard taught that the Sabbath is not a day of the week, but a state of consciousness. It is the moment when you cease all mental striving and rest in the feeling of the wish fulfilled. It is the state of knowing that your desire is already yours, that the outer world will inevitably conform to the inner state. This rest is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Without it, the seed of your desire cannot grow. The Sabbath rest is the ultimate act of faith. It is the willingness to trust in the unseen, to release all doubt, and to allow the process of creation to unfold. It is the recognition that the outer world is not the cause, but the effect, and that the true work of creation happens within. To enter the Sabbath is to step into the flow of life, to align with the infinite intelligence that governs all things, and to trust that it is working in your favor. The silence of surrender is the space where creation happens. It is the moment when you release the need to control the outcome and allow the process to unfold. In this silence, you are not passive. You are actively aligning with the reality you wish to create. You are not doing, you are being. And in this being, you find the peace, the joy, and the fulfillment that you sought all along. The fulfillment of a desire is not a matter of chance, nor is it the result of external forces beyond your control. It is the inevitable outcome of faithfully held mental images, the natural conclusion of a process that begins within. Neville Goddard taught that the external world is nothing more than a reflection of the inner state. And when you persist in the assumption of your wish fulfilled, the world must reshape itself to match your inner conviction. This is the promise of creation, that what you hold in imagination with faith and persistence will manifest in your reality. The journey from desire to fulfillment is not always linear. It is often marked by what Goddard called the bridge of incidents, a series of events that unfold in perfect order to bring your desire into form. These events may seem random or even unrelated at first, but they are the confirmation that your inner state is being externalized. The promise is fulfilled not through effort or struggle, but through the natural and inevitable alignment of the outer world with the inner vision. When you impress a desire upon your subconscious mind, you set into motion a chain of events that will lead to its fulfillment. These events, the bridge of incidents, are the means by which your desire is brought into form. They may appear as coincidences, chance encounters, or unexpected opportunities, but they are not random. They are the outpicturing of your inner state, the external confirmation that your assumption is taking root. Most people fail to recognize the bridge of incidents because they are looking for immediate and dramatic results. They expect their desire to appear fully formed, without understanding that the process of manifestation often unfolds in steps. But every step, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, is a part of the bridge. The phone call you receive, the person you meet, the idea that comes to mind, all of these are pieces of the puzzle, guiding you toward the fulfillment of your desire. To recognize the bridge of incidents is to trust in the process. It is to see every event, no matter how ordinary, as a confirmation that your inner state is being externalized. It is to remain faithful to your vision, even when the outer world seems to contradict it, knowing that the bridge is leading you exactly where you need to go. The bridge of incidents is not something you create, it is something you allow. It is the natural unfolding of the path that leads to the promise fulfilled. The external world is not fixed. It is fluid, malleable, and responsive to the energy you emit. Goddard taught that consciousness is the only reality, and the world you experience is a reflection of the beliefs, assumptions, and feelings you hold within. When you change your inner state, the outer world must change to match it. This is not a matter of chance or coincidence. It is a law of consciousness. Most people believe that reality is something outside of them, something they must react to or control. They focus on changing their circumstances, not realizing that their circumstances are a reflection of their inner state. But the truth is that the outer world is not the cause. It is the effect. To change your reality, you must first change yourself. You must align your thoughts, feelings, and beliefs with the reality you wish to create, and the outer world will naturally conform. This process is not always immediate. The outer world, like a mirror, takes time to reflect the changes you make within. But the moment you shift your inner state, the process begins. The people, circumstances, and events in your life start to rearrange themselves to match your new vibration. This is why persistence is so important. If you waver in your assumption, if you allow doubt or fear to creep in, you disrupt the process. But if you remain faithful to your vision, the outer world will inevitably reshape itself to match your inner state. The promise of creation is that what you hold in imagination with faith and persistence will manifest in your reality. This is not a matter of effort or struggle. It is a matter of alignment. When you impress a desire upon your subconscious mind, you plant a seed in the fertile soil of consciousness. This seed, if nurtured with faith and persistence, will grow into the reality you desire. But the key is faith. Faith is not merely a belief in something unseen. It is the conviction that what you desire is already yours. It is the willingness to live from the end, to dwell in the feeling of the wish fulfilled, even when the outer world shows no evidence of change. Faith is the bridge between the inner and outer worlds, the force that brings the unseen into the seen. Goddard often emphasized the importance of persistence in this process. The subconscious mind does not respond to fleeting thoughts or half-hearted desires. It responds to deeply held convictions. To manifest your desire, you must hold the image of it in your mind with unwavering faith, allowing no room for doubt or fear. This is not a matter of forcing the mind, but of gently and consistently returning to the feeling of the wish fulfilled. The more you dwell in this state, the more real it becomes, until it is externalized in your reality. The manifestation of your desire is not a question of if, but of when. The promise is fulfilled not through effort or struggle, but through the natural and inevitable alignment of the outer world with the inner vision. The seed you have planted will grow, the bridge of incidents will unfold, and the reality you have imagined will become the reality you experience. In the fulfillment of a desire, there is a profound silence. This silence is not an absence of sound, but an absence of doubt. It is the stillness that comes from knowing that the work is done, that the promise is fulfilled. In this silence, you are not waiting for the world to change. You are resting in the knowing that it already has. You are not seeking confirmation. You are living in the confirmation. The silence of fulfillment is the space where creation and manifestation meet. It is the moment when the inner and outer worlds align, when the bridge of incidents has led you to the promise fulfilled. In this silence, there is no striving, no effort, no resistance. There's only the peace of knowing that what you have imagined is now real. Thank you for watching. If this message resonated with you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who might need it right now. And if you're ready to continue your journey of transformation, make sure to subscribe for more insights and teachings that can change your life. Your next breakthrough could be just one thought away. See you in the next video.